Alright, we have now entered July, which is the 6th month of 2024. That means we're halfway done with the year. Today I'm going to give you my best, my worst, my most surprising, and most disappointing movies of 2024. Alright, that's right. So here's how this video is going to work. Instead of going down my top 10, bottom 10, most surprising, we're going to do the top 3, the bottom 3, then a whole list of most surprising, most disappointments. But everything other than the top 3, bottom 3, that's just going to be rushed in as some like honorable mentions. So I will go through my entire top 10, but they'll be regarded as honorable mentions. And then I have several surprising, disappointing movies, but there will be one taking the top cake too. Before I get started, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what is your best, worst, most surprising, most disappointing movies of 2024 so far. That's a handful of a title, but I do this video every year. And while you're down there, subscribe. We are at 179 as I speak. If we get to 200 by the middle of this month, special video coming to you guys. And with that said, let's get started with my best movies, honorable mentions. Kicking it off, number 10, Civil War. I thought this movie was intense. I really loved how Alex Garland didn't put his own perspective on this. He found a way to tell a story to where that will try to make the least amount of people mad in a way where it doesn't pick a side, and I really respected that. But the last couple of minutes, I kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, but besides that, very good movie. Number 9, The Beekeeper. I normally don't like John Wick spin-offs. I just find they're boring. This one always kept me interested with fun action sequences. Jason Statham's a blast. It is a blast of a movie. Number 8, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. It went way down on rewatch because I just felt like there's too many human plots bogging it down and kind of doesn't hold its own, but it was the best theater experience I've had this year. It was a blast. Number 7, Furiosa. This is a movie based in the Mad Max franchise. Not a fan of the Mad Max franchise, but I do like Mad Max Fury Road. I thought the movie was pretty good. Was very hard to find a way to be necessary, but when it's a Mad Max movie with the Mad Max action, it is a great theater experience, and it's just immersive with great cinematography. It's a theater experience that I loved enjoying, but the movie, the story as a whole has some problems, but it's a great theater experience. Instead, let's do my honorable mentions for the worst movies. Number 10 on the worst movies, Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. I enjoyed the action sequences. I thought they were fun, way more entertaining than the first movie, but I just felt like this universe isn't that compelling. There's too much slow-mo, not a good movie at all, but it was an entertaining one. Number 9, Babes, the most awkward theater experience I had this year, going to see a surprise movie with my mom, praying it wasn't this, and it was this. Look, the movie's made for someone. That someone's not me. It's not my kind of movie. Number 8, The Thunderman's Return. Now, this is not a bad movie at all. I was on my phone playing on it the entire time because it's one of those movies that you need to like have Subway Surfers running on in the background, but it's fine. Number 7, Kung Fu Panda Thor. I did not like this movie at all. I thought the rest of the franchise was solid. I really did enjoy this franchise, but this movie just was not it. It has so many plot inconsistencies. It made no sense half the time and just felt like a cash grab. Let's go number 3 on the best of the year, and that's going to be Abigail. My third best movie of the year. I was not planning on going to go see this one when I first heard about it, but when the movie got all the buzz coming out of the Overlook Film Festival, I had to check it out, and I love this movie from beginning to end. It's a movie where you have this group of characters with great actors and actresses. They're in there. Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Here she is right here. That's what she looks like, but I can't really remember her name right now. But this actors that are just so entertaining to be around in this story, and I am a sucker for horror movies. You all know that. I'm a sucker for slasher movies. So you get all these fun characters in this dangerous slasher vibe situation to where you're following them trying to just stay alive in the house with Abigail just going around killing them, and it's entertaining as hell. It is very fun, very funny, and I just enjoyed the heck out of this movie. I really had fun in the theater with this movie. The ending tried to do a bit too much, I think, trying to Trying to give Abigail a redemption arc was not necessary at all, but I still thought it was really good, really great movie, and I just had a blast watching this one. I cannot wait till it comes out on physical media. I'm buying it, putting it on that shelf, and rewatching it the moment I get home. I loved this movie. Number 3 on the bad list, I'm going Night Swim. This is a movie that's interesting because I don't feel like it's awful, because I like the last act. I find that the lore surrounding the pool and why it's evil was pretty interesting. I thought evil Wyatt Russell was just super fun. I love Wyatt Russell, and having his performance here kind of sometimes felt phoned in, but I still thought it was very fun. So I did enjoy the third act of it. The rest of the movie is just what my problem is with Blumhouse. You'll see number 2 here in a few minutes. But I just have so many problems with Blumhouse as a studio. I don't feel as if they are comprehensible to just give us the same crap over and over again. It's like the movie is literally just these characters, they're walking around, oh, let's go for a swim. What's gonna happen? Oh, noise. Ah! Spooky jump scare. That's the entire movie. Until the third act, when it gets interesting. And there are the same exact things over and over again, and it's just a problem with Blumhouse, the studio. We as fans have avidly said we're sick of the same old crap. You get movies like the Quiet Place franchise, which is great PG-13 horror, and this PG-13 horror is just the same generic movie over and over again. So it's boring, the first 2 acts, and it's just the problem with Blumhouse as a studio. As you'll see what my number 2 is again, I just really did not like the first 2 acts because it's the same generic stuff, and I'm putting this here because this is just all my frustrations with Blumhouse as a studio. I love Jason Blum. I have a Jason Blum Funko Pop somewhere around here. It's in there or in my couple drawers of Funko Pops, but I have a Funko Pop because I love them. I think the studio's great when they're great, but the studio just produces so much crap, and it's just frustrating that I have to put this one here. Number 2 on the best tier, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. A handful. But I adored this movie. This was my most anticipated of the year. I even loved it so much that I had to go back and watch it twice because I thought that this movie was so good. I mean, we get introduced to our new characters of Noah, May, and they're all interesting because there's always multiple dimensions and layers to our characters here, where Noah just wants to help his tribe. That's all he wants. He wants to help his tribe, but he also wants to help May. But that puts him at a crossroads because it's either between choosing monkeys or humans. May wants to help Noah, wants to help his tribe, but then again, she has her ulterior motive. She's doing all this for the humans and the last remaining humans. And it's compelling. Even Proximus Caesar, you know, we kind of want to root for him because we spent so long on these monkeys, but like he's taking Caesar's word, but kind of twisting it, or he's doing these evil things for monkeys, thinking that's what Caesar wanted him to do. And it's compelling. The characters are compelling. The cinematography is great. It was awesome watching this in a theater twice because it's just the one blockbuster you love to see with awesome characters, pretty great action, and I just found this movie compelling both times. Another movie that I cannot wait to get so I can put that on that shelf right here and instantly rewatch it for a third time. My most of the year really paid off. I really loved it, and it's number 2. Number 2 on the bad tier, I'm going with Imaginary, and again, another Blumhouse movie. Unlike Night Swim, this doesn't have anything that redeems it. It's a movie called Imaginary, but with no imagination, to where the whole movie is our characters, again, walking through the house. What's that? Ah! Spooky noise! And that's like the whole movie till the very end, to where we should get something interesting here when we're going into the imaginary world, but there's no sauce. There's nothing. The only thing cool about it was like the creature design. Nothing interesting happens. We get like a character where one of the only interesting parts of the movie, she's all of a sudden like, hey, actually, I don't even remember. The movie was forgettable as well. Hey, I actually just brought you guys here so I can, have an ulterior motive. And then she just dies. Like, the plot goes nowhere. The visual style isn't good. I was bored. I was exhausted the entire movie. I was just waiting for it to end because it's the same thing. And then we get to the imaginary world where it should start getting better, and it's more of the same thing. What's behind me? Nothing? Oh, jump scare. And I'm sick of it. Again, I'm sick of Blumhouse doing the same old crap every time they put out a movie like this, especially one with this. It has Jeff Wadlow as a director who, after watching a couple of his movies, he does not have the sauce. He doesn't have anything that makes him a compelling or good director, because he's just there and he just points the camera at some things and craps out a movie. That's pretty much what this movie is. No sauce, no redeeming elements of this movie. Even like the kids. I hate dogging on child actors, but this kid is annoying and really just helped me experience. Maybe it's because I was watching this at midnight. I stayed up to like 2 in the morning watching this movie. I was tired as hell, but like there's no excuse. Like, I could have rewatched this movie. There could have been a thing like, oh, I was tired, I need to rewatch it, give it another shot. But I didn't even do that because I didn't want to, because it's just a boring movie. It's boring, nothing about it works, and it's number 2 on the worst list. Before we give my number 1s to best and worst of the year, let's go ahead and talk about some surprising and disappointing movies. Some runner-ups for most surprising movie of the year. We got Self-Reliance. That is a January movie. I heard a little bit of buzz about it, so I decided to check it out one night. It's on Hulu, I think, and it's just a really weird movie about Jake Johnson, and he's like in this game to where he's got to run and hide from these people for a certain amount of time to win a certain amount of money. And it's weird, it's wacky, it's different. Nobody acts like they should act. That's my only negative of the movie. But at the heart and soul of it, it's about lonely people, and you know, that's a nice story to tell, and it's compelling, and it's just entertaining and funny throughout, and I found Self-Reliance to be really compelling. Inside Out 2, that's some more runner-ups, so we're not going to touch too much on it, but I love this movie. We'll talk more about it when we do the best runner-ups. Abigail, already talked about that. It's a blast of a movie. Great characters, great horror vibes. It's a blast of a movie. I loved it. The Bike Riders, this is a movie that I didn't necessarily think would be for me, and it totally was. It's under 2 hours, so it just is super flies by. It doesn't feel like you're sitting there forever. It tells a compelling story. I really did enjoy this one. Immaculate, this is a movie that I had no idea what this was until the South by Southwest got some buzz out of it, and I watched it, and I found it to be great. This is a movie where you'll decide if you like it or hate it after the ending. I loved it. It was disturbing, it was messed up, and it's awesome. My kind of movie. My runner-up is The Watchers. This is a movie from M. Night Shyamalan. That's M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. And I found it after that first act where there's some very bad stuff in it, I found it to be compelling. You want to know what they're doing there. You want to know why the creatures are doing this. It's got a compelling lore, compelling twist. Even like the end twist I thought was pretty good. And I really like the creature design, where even I got a little chill down my spine when it happened. So I really dug The Watchers. But my most surprising movie of the year is Ezra. If you don't know what this movie is, you are in the same boat as me when I walked into a Marcus Mystery screening and they said, hey, the movie's gonna be Ezra. I literally looked over at my brother like, come on, you're serious? This is what we're watching? And it's very good. It's very good. It's got a great cast. Bobby Cannavale, Robert De Niro, Rose Byrne, even like people like Rainn Wilson. There's so many cameos of other actors. They just show up in here for 10 minutes and it's great. It's got a very emotional story. It's a story about a guy with his autistic son, and it is incredibly emotional at parts. It's a story that a lot of people relate to, so I found the story to just be compelling. There are some funny jokes in here. It felt real with a great cast, and even after like walking out of the movie, I was kind of like, yeah, I really liked it, but I kind of wish it was something else because I was kind of hoping it was Hitman. But the more I think about it, the more this year has had more disappointing movies, and the more that I walked out of Ezra with a smile on my face, thought it was a really good movie. So that is my most surprising movie of the year. Let's start with some disappointing movies. My runner-ups for most disappointing movies: The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I heard that this one was a very fun Guy Ritchie movie, and I walked out of it feeling like this was a movie with too many plot lines. It chose the wrong type of story to tell here. The main cast, when they're great, it feels like they were just kind of shoved on the back burner. When we get to Nazis getting killed the entire time, found out to be a blast, but the rest of it just didn't really work for me. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, when we get more Ghostbusters stuff, it's great in the final 30-40 minutes. But then we had to sit through a lot of plot lines, and it's like we go down this whole list of plot lines where it feels like you're in a video game, but you're just doing the side missions and not progressing the main story until the very end. The First Omen, I had no hype going into this one until like everybody else said it was great, and I found the movie, for the majority of it, to be kind of like a boring nun story. Really dragged, and unlike Immaculate, which is a movie that Immaculate is a movie that was 90 minutes. This one's 2 hours, so this one felt really draggy at times. When we get to the messed up stuff in the last 30-40 minutes, it's great, but I just didn't vibe with the rest of the movie. Monkey Man, I didn't dislike this movie. I thought it was pretty good. Found the action in the first and third acts to be great, but the middle of the movie really does drag with a story I just don't really care about. Bad Boys 4, I watched all of these movies before I saw this one, loved the franchise, and walked into this one, left it feeling like it was the most forgettable film in this franchise and a little bit disappointing. A Quiet Place Day One. This is a very different Quiet Place movie, which is why it's on the disappointing list. I thought it was pretty good, but there is quite a bit of problems with it. It struggled to make me care for the characters in the first hour. Pacing issues. Doesn't do much with the sound, but when we get to the last 40 minutes, there's an emotional story here, a story that we really love to see, and that was important to tell here. And I thought that the movie was really good. I have a whole review of pretty much all these movies on my channel too, but this one was pretty recent. If you want to go back, I talked about this movie a lot in the last recent days. But my most disappointing movie of the year is going to be Hitman. This might shock a lot of you, but this was a movie that I was told was top of the year. Was told that this was better than Challengers, better than Dune Part 2. So many people, I posted that on Twitter. And I just sat and watched it and thought it was a pretty good movie, very fun. Was really fresh, had a nice blend of genres in there. Where part of it's a romance, some of it is a mystery dark comedy, some of it is just a comedy in general. And so I found it to be very fresh, great cast, some great sequences when we get to the end of the movie, but I never felt as if it was perfect like a lot of you were saying it was. I just felt like it was a good Netflix movie. I found it pretty entertaining, but I just, like, it's hard because I never fully was like, this movie's perfect, this movie's awesome. There was one scene that I thought deserved top tier of the year, and that's a scene where he's on the cell phone typing and they have to act it out. That scene is great. The rest of it, pretty good, really watchable, really entertaining, but I struggled to find what the whole hype was about, and so that made it the most disappointing movie of the year. Before we talk about my favorite movie of the year, let's talk about my least favorite movie of the year. Number one on the worst movies of the year, Drive Away Dolls, or as I like to call it, porn with a plot. Why did I go to the theater to see this movie? I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking from the trailer. I saw the trailer and I was like, that looks dumb, but it could be fun. I was expecting something like Joyride, which was a movie that came out last year that I genuinely dug. I thought that was a very good movie with a very good plot, great emotions in the end, and even though the humor didn't really work for me, thought it was just a very good story to tell. This movie's not. So, like, we start off and it's got this weird tone to it, to where, like, our characters are just, like, acting really weird, and then we get a sex scene, and then we get another sex scene, and then we get some sex jokes, and then we get another sex scene, and, like, I was groaning. I was scrolling on my phone the entire movie, and because it's porn with a plot, and it's not even, like, straight porn, it's gay porn. Like, not gay, but lesbian porn. Not that it makes it any better, porn's still bad, but, like, come on now. I mean, they weren't even that attractive. Anywho, there's no plot here. The only good thing I say about it is, like, it's an hour and 20 minutes, so it kind of flies by. But it feels like the plot, like, never fully progresses. There's these weird sequences where people are just sitting back, and there's, like, stars and stuff shining in front of them, and that goes on for like 5 minutes. Why? Because this movie does not have enough story to tell. The whole twist of what's in the briefcase is a bunch of dildos. I am not kidding. That's what's in this movie. And the fact that I had to go sit and watch this movie disgusted me. It's awful. Like, the cast isn't compelling. There's barely a funny joke in the movie. There might be like a half of a funny joke somewhere. The mystery, not that compelling. Nothing about it was compelling whatsoever. I genuinely did not like this movie. I hated it. I hated the experience. I will never go watch a movie like this again. As my introduction to a Coen brother, I don't know. The trailer doesn't even say what Coen brother, because it's like, hey, which Coen brother do we blame this on if the movie turns out bad? Spoiler alert, it's bad. And it's positive on Rotten Tomatoes. How is the movie positive on Rotten Tomatoes when they're just lesbian sex scenes and then the box is a dildo? That's what the movie is. The big joke is that the mayor can't get his dick print out. Oh my god, this movie was awful. Like, hurts my brain thinking about it. But we didn't do honorable mentions. I just realized we didn't do honorable mentions for the bad movie. So we're going to get some honorable mentions. Drive Away Dolls, worst movie of the year. I don't think it's going to change. I hated it. But anyways, number 6 for worst of the year. Now we're back there. Lisa Frankenstein. Lisa Frankenstein didn't quite work for me because it's a movie that I feel like I could vibe with, but it's a story that I just didn't really care about. And even when it got like twisted and weird, it got a little too twisted and weird, where the cheerleader daughter, who we like, it just gets all depressed because Lisa killed her mom. And it's like we're supposed to like root for Lisa in this story, and it's just like leaves a sour taste in your mouth. So no story I care about. Really boring. And just leaves a sour taste in your mouth. It's not very good. The Kitchen, too many plot lines, feels like it's the second movie in a trilogy of films, doesn't deliver on anything else, but there is some cool sequences in here, but I just didn't feel like the movie worked at all. Number 4, Madame Web, as I'm calling this movie from now on. It just, like, it's fun to watch, it's entertaining as hell, but it's not good. It's not good at all. I mean, the story makes no sense. Tries so hard to delude us from saying Peter Parker. It's just like, what's the baby's name? Okay, balloon pops, let's go to do something else. It's lazy, it's stupid, it makes no sense, but it's laughable, it's hilarious, and it's entertaining. So, like, I can't hate this movie too much, but it's definitely in the bottom of the year. Some runner-ups for best movie of the year. We left off at Furiosa. Now let's go to number 6, The Fall Guy. This is a movie directed by David Leitch. I think it's David Leitch's best movie. I thought it was entertaining, showed what it's like to work in Hollywood with a genuinely interesting plot. Funny, it's very funny. Great cast here. And even though like there's a twist here that I feel like doesn't fully work, I did really enjoy the finale, which is just a stunt. It worships stunt, and it's very cool. Number 5, Immaculate. We already talked about it. You'll love or hate it by that ending, and I loved the ending. Number 4, Inside Out 2. I said we'd talk about this one. It just represents anxiety and your other emotions as you grow up in a perfect way. It's a story that I feel everybody needs to see. It's got intense sequences because we were always in Riley's shoes. The adventure is more fun than the first movie. This is S-tier Pixar, the best Pixar movie in years. I loved this movie. But let's now skip all ahead to number 1, my favorite movie of the year, and it's Dune Part 2. Actually, I got Dune Part 2 on 4K. I'm going to show it off because I think it looks cool. I like the 4K. I also want to show this off too because I talked about it in the best already. It's number 8, but I do have the Godzilla X Kong Steelbook. Want to show it off because it's a great steelbook. Like, look how cool the inside of it is. It's literally pink Godzilla. I'm not going to take the discs out, but this is by far my favorite steelbook of the year so far that came out. But I also have the Dune 4K. This was actually the first 4K I bought, and I think it looks awesome. But anyways, back to talking about the actual movie. It's great. The movie is actually fantastic. I was not a big fan of the first Dune. Thought it had several issues that held it back. But this one is perfect to where all of our characters get enough time to flesh out in this huge, sprawling story. There's great scope, great size, great job by Denis Villeneuve in here. This is Denis Villeneuve's best movie, by the way, in my opinion. And so, just great direction by Denis Villeneuve with great characters, a fantastic cast, great action sequences. You feel the scope and size with every single action sequence. And even like when we get to the end, when we're with Fade Rotha, best villain of the year, probably going to be the best villain of the century so far. I mean, man, Austin Butler, he can act, man. But anyways, great action, great scope, great scale, great directing by Denis Villeneuve. This is just a movie that I instantly watched when I bought it, and I just fell in love with it over and over again. I watch it 4 times now, I think, and I just adore the movie. It's a perfect movie, and I cannot wait for Dune Messiah coming out in a couple of years. That was my best, my worst, my most disappointing, and most surprising movies of 2024. No, it's a little bit scattered the way I did it, but you know what? Who cares? So let me know down below, what is your best, worst, most surprising, most disappointing movies of the year so far. Next up, what is the next video? I think I'm going to rank the TV shows. That'll be the next video coming up. But anyways, stay tuned for that one. Subscribe. While you're down there, again, comment down below. Hit the like button and hit the bell so you never miss another video. With that said, subscribe, join the Internet Army. Peace out.